So user ID and password is associated with the object called user, so that with this object only we can establish a session. And this user is almost similar to a database which can contain all the objects like tables, views, macros, or within users you may have users, or within users you may have databases. Everything we can have, because this is the typical hierarchy of a Teradata system. Okay, one user, and within the user you may have users and databases, and within databases you may have users, or within users you may have databases, and you may have the tables, views, macros, triggers, all the other objects also. So this is a typical hierarchy of the systems. And this user has a password also, along with all the other objects of database. It will have a password also associated with it. And whenever we join a client system, okay, a client project, they will give us a password and user, right? So with that user ID only we will log into the system, and we will establish our session, and we will do all the operations which are supposed to be done on the existing databases or users. Okay, so user is a special kind of database which has a password also associated with it, and with which we can establish a session and can operate on the Teradata servers. And user can also have all the other objects as similar as a database. Okay. And how these tables are distributed in the Teradata components. So multiple tables on multiple amps. Okay. We are keep on telling the data should be distributed across all the available disks parallelly, so that all the amps can process the data within their associated virtual disk and can get the data back in parallel. Okay, so how these tables should be distributed so that amps can work parallelly and can get the request process parallelly. Okay, so let's suppose we have seen two tables here. So all yellow color rows are of table A, all blue color rows are of table B. Okay, so how they are distributed across all the virtual disks or all the virtual amps. Okay, so see, 3 records in amp 0, 2 records in amp 1, 3 records in amp 2, 3 records in amp 4 for yellow records. Okay, so it is almost even distribution, right? So only one amp has less number of records because it doesn't have the third record, but as far as possible it has distributed all the rows evenly across all the virtual disks. If you consider the blue color rows, okay, these color rows also distributed evenly across all the available virtual disks. Okay, so the distribution should happen in such a fashion so that the Teradata can process the information parallelly. Let's suppose all the yellow color rows are inserted here, then it is not better than a traditional system, right? It would also work as a traditional system where a processor and a disk is associated with it, and each and every information is processed parallelly, not parallelly but sequentially, if all the records are inserted in a same amp, right? So we have to ensure the data should be distributed across all the available virtual disks so that all amps together work parallelly on their portion of the data and then can give the data back. So the data distribution plays an important role in Teradata, which can enable all the components work parallelly and process the requests parallelly. Okay. So the rows of every table are distributed among all the amps. Each amp is responsible for a subset of rows of each table. Okay. So in this terminology, if I say data is distributed across the virtual disk or data is distributed across the virtual amps, both are same. Okay. When I say the data is distributed across the virtual amps, it is nothing but the corresponding virtual disks only. So in terminology, we may say sometimes the data is distributed across the amps. You may not get confused. Okay. The amps are nothing but the associated virtual disks we are referring, because there is a one-to-one association. Okay. So both terms may be used in the data distribution, the data distributed across the amps or across the virtual disks, both are same. Okay. So the rows are The rows of every table are distributed among all the amps, and each amp is responsible for a subset of rows of each table. Ideally, each table will be evenly distributed among all the amps. Evenly distributed tables result in evenly distributed workload across the amps, and the uniformity of distribution of the rows of a table depends on the choice of primary index. Okay, how this distribution happened? This distribution happened based on the choice of primary index, what we do at the time of table creation. Okay, so ideally the distribution should be like this, but how we can achieve this distribution? Okay, we can achieve this distribution based on a proper choice of primary index column in the table. Okay, so how we create a primary index? Okay, these are the types of primary index and these are the syntax. Okay, how we create a primary index? We have to create a primary index at the time of table creation. Okay, how do we create a table? Create table, table name, the columns, data types which are separated with a comma, okay, and then finally we have to mention what is the index and what is the type of the index. Okay, so here you can see three types of indexes. One is the unique primary index, the other is the non-unique primary index, that is NUPI, and from Teradata 13 onwards there is a new mechanism where we can create a table with no primary index. Okay, so till Teradata 12 we were not having the concept of creation of a table without an index. Okay, we used to say primary index is mandatory for the table in Teradata. Okay, but in Teradata 13 they have come up with a new feature where you can create a table without a primary index. So what happens if I create a table without a primary index, we'll see later. But here, as of now, see there is a unique primary index. Okay, we can choose a column B as unique primary index here. That means this index won't allow the duplicates in the column B. Okay. And we have a NUPI, non-unique primary index, in the column X. Okay, that means it can allow the duplicates also in the column X. Okay. And then we have the no primary index. So while creation of the table, if you put a word no primary index explicitly at the end of the table definition, then it would create a table with no primary index. Okay. And if I don't put this word, okay, no primary index, if I don't put this phrase at the end of the table, then what happens? It would defaultly take the unique column as a unique primary index if they exist. Okay, if there is any column that is imposed with a unique constraint, that column would be considered as a unique primary index by default. Okay. If there is no column that is imposed with the unique constraint, then the first column will be considered as a non-unique primary index by default. Okay, so those were the cases. So if you eliminate this phrase no primary index, then automatically Teradata will select a primary index based on the constraints on the columns. The first unique column is considered as a unique primary index, and if there is no unique constraint in the columns, the first column itself would be considered as a non-unique primary index. Okay, so unique primary index won't allow the duplicates, and non-unique primary index would allow the duplicate values in that column. And we have to create this index at the time of table creation only. Okay, after table creation you cannot change it. If you want to change it, you have to drop the table and recreate the table. And if you have the data, you have to take a backup of the data, drop the table, recreate the table with the new index, and then get the data back from the backup table. So that is the workaround we can do, but we cannot alter an existing table's primary index. The primary index should be created at the time of table creation, and we cannot drop or alter dynamically. Okay, if we need to change the primary index, we have to drop the table and recreate the table with the required primary index. Okay, so how we have to choose this primary index? How we can identify a column as a primary index. Okay. So what happens actually when we create a primary index? Okay. So I have created a table with this definition. We will consider a non-unique primary index or unique primary index. I have created a table and I have chosen a column as a primary index. Then what happens if I insert the data into the table? Okay. When I start inserting the data into this table, which is having a primary index as column B, let's suppose, okay, each and every row during the insertion will go to the parsing engine. Okay. Within the parsing engine, we have an algorithm called hash algorithm. Okay. This hash algorithm will take the primary index values as input and it would generate a hash value as an output. Okay. So with that hash value, the Teradata can determine in which AMP it has to go. Okay, let's suppose one row has a primary index value and the hash algorithm takes that value as an input and it has determined the AMP number 2, that is 0, 1 and 2. The AMP number 2 is the AMP in which this record has to be stored. So it will go and store in that particular AMP. Okay. So the value of primary index for a specific row determines its AMP assignment. Okay, this is done using a hash algorithm. So hash algorithm is the component which decides which row has to be stored in which AMP. Okay. And hash algorithm has two basic properties. Okay. The first property is it gets the rows and it will generate a unique hash row for a unique index value. That means as far as possible the primary indexes are different, the hash algorithm can generate different hash values. So with those different hash values, the AMP numbers will be identified uniquely almost. Okay, that means it will be rotated in round robin fashion. Okay, so that whenever the primary index values are unique, the hash algorithm would generate unique hash values and the AMP number will be determined in a round robin fashion so that that unique distribution is possible. The even distribution is possible. Okay. And the other property of hash algorithm is if the index values are same, the hash algorithm would generate the same hash value always. Okay. If there are two index values which are same in case of a non-unique primary index, okay, these two values would result in creation of the same primary index values. So if the hash values of those two rows are same, these two rows are determined to be stored in a single AMP. Okay, because they have the same index value, so they were given as input to the hash algorithm. The hash algorithm has generated same in row hash values for those two index values. As the hash values are same, it will determine the same AMP in which these two records to be stored. So it would go and store in the same AMP. Okay, so you can see the other example actually. Okay, so we have a create table here with a unique primary index on column B. Okay, and we are starting insertion of the data. So the UPI, the 345 for an example, is given input to the hash algorithm, and this hash algorithm has determined the AMP number 1 as the data storage AMP for this record, which has the primary index value 345. So 345 is stored here. Okay. Similarly, all the rows are hashed by the hash algorithm and distributed across all the available AMPs. Okay. So as the hash values are different for each and every row, because it is a unique primary index, it won't allow the duplicates. So the values are unique, so hash values are unique. So in a round robin fashion, it has generated the hash values so that each and every row is distributed across different AMP possible. So it is an even distribution happen. And then now we are trying to retrieve the data from the table. Select columns from the table, and I'm using a where clause in my retrieval, and I'm using my primary index in the equality condition where column B equal to 345. Okay, so while retrieving also I'm trying to retrieve a primary index value 345 row. Okay, so what happens again while retrieving the data also, the parsing engine will give this record primary index value to the hash algorithm, and hash algorithm has the property of generating the same hash value for the same primary index value, right? So for 345 it would generate the same hash value which it has generated during the insertion of the record. Okay, and now it knows in which AMP this particular row has been stored, so it can directly jump to that particular AMP and can pick up the record, right? So how many AMPs it has accessed to get the data back which is having a unique primary index equal to 345? It is a single AMP, right? So we have created the table and we have inserted the data. So during the insertion, the hash algorithm hashed all the rows of the primary index values and it has determined in which AMPs they have to be stored. And while we are retrieving the data, if we use our primary index in the where clause, this value will again be hashed and it will generate the same row hash value which it has generated at the time of insertion. Because both the hash values are same, it already knows in which AMP this particular row is being stored, so it can directly jump to that particular AMP and can pick up the data back. So this is called as one AMP operation. Okay. So whenever you have a unique primary index and whenever you are using a primary index in our where clause, it always generates a one AMP operation. Okay. So we'll see what happens at non-unique primary index. Okay. Let's suppose this is a non-unique primary index now. Okay. And all the values of non-unique primary index are given to hash algorithm. So there may be duplicates also. So if there are two rows which are duplicated, it would generate the same row hash value. So all these two rows or three rows which are having the same primary index value will be stored in the same AMP because of the duplication. Okay. And let's suppose in the where clause I have used the primary index value. It may be duplicated now because we have created a non-unique primary index, let's suppose. Okay, so this value will be given to the hash algorithm again to hash it, and that hash value is already generated at the time of insertion of the data, so it knows in which AMP all these rows are being stored, so it can jump to that particular AMP, can get the data of all the rows which have the same primary index value and retrieve the answer set. Okay, so in case of a non-unique primary index also, it is always a one AMP operation. Okay, so it is not only for unique primary index but for non-unique primary index also. Okay, you will achieve a one AMP operation because all the primary indexes which are having same value will generate the same hash value, and the same hash values for all these rows would be inserted in same AMP. Okay, let's suppose 345 or 4 records. So all these 4 records will be stored in the same AMP. So when you request for the 345 data, all the rows which are existing in this AMP2 will be retrieved back. Okay, so in case of a non-unique primary index also, it is a one AMP operation. Maybe the number of rows retrieved will be more, but it is always a one AMP operation when you use the primary index in the where clause of the retrieval queries. Okay, so we have a one AMP operation possible, which is the best way of retrieval of the data from Teradata. Okay, so one AMP operation is the best way of retrieval of the data. It is possible when you use the primary index in the where clause. Okay, so now tell me what are the considerations, okay, we have to keep while choosing a primary index. Okay, the first one, can anyone guess? Can anyone tell by the things what we have seen so far? So what are the two considerations.
Level of uniqueness.
Yeah, level of uniqueness is 1, and
Duplicates values.
yeah, that is the uniqueness. Okay, and if you see, the retrieval query should be using this column in the retrieval process. These are the usage of the column in the retrieval queries. Okay, both are the factors. Okay, let's suppose I have an employee table, and in the employee table I have an employee number which is almost unique. I mean, a unique employee number is a primary key, let's suppose, so it should be unique, right? So it is a unique primary index I have chosen. So as per the unique primary index employee number, all the rows are distributed across all the amps evenly. Okay, and in my queries, in my report queries or in my ETL queries, I am using employee name in the where clause more, let's suppose. So can I achieve a 1 amp operation there? Okay, my primary index is the employee number, but I am using the employee name in the where clause more. Okay, so I'm not going to achieve a 1 amp operation there. So in such a case, okay, you may see what is the degree of uniqueness on the column employee name. Okay, so if the uniqueness on the employee name is also reasonable, let's suppose, then you may choose a employee name also as a non-unique primary index. Okay, instead of creation of a unique primary index on the employee number, you may choose a non-unique primary index on the employee name, so that all the retrieval queries may achieve a 1 amp operation. Okay, so these are two considerations we have to keep. That first one is the unique distribution of the rows as per the index, and the second one is the retrieval path of the data, the primary retrieval path of the data in the usage of the table queries. Okay, so these two considerations we have to keep while choosing a primary index for a table. So let me see the questions here. Manohar, what is the hash map? Hash map we will discuss very soon. Okay, hash map and hash buckets, everything we'll discuss. And next question, can we have a primary key and foreign key in the Teradata table? Yes. Obviously, because Teradata is an RDBMS, which is ANSI compliant RDBMS. So yes, we can have a primary key, foreign key also. But as Teradata is used for data warehousing databases, most probably we don't implement the primary key and foreign keys, but we have the primary indexes and secondary indexes more. But yes, if you want to impose the referential integrity maintained across the tables, you can have primary keys and foreign keys can be created on the tables. And how does retrieval takes place in case of a composite primary index? Do I need to mention all the primary index columns in the where clause? Yes. Okay, if you have a composite primary index, all the columns should be there in the where clause. Then only it can achieve a 1 amp operation. Otherwise, it won't. Okay, and to mention all primary index columns in the where clause to fully utilize. Yes. Okay, so we have to have all the columns in the where clause so that you can achieve a 1 amp operation. Otherwise, the hash values are generated based on the combination of the columns, and when retrieving, if you are missing at least one column, then it cannot generate the same hash value. So it cannot go to the amp in which these records are stored. Right? So it cannot achieve a single amp operation. It may have to search all the amps to retrieve the data. Okay. And the other question, since primary index plays the role in data store on AMP, in the case of no primary index defined on a table, how the data is distributed across AMP? Okay, in case of a no primary index, a random number is generated by the hash algorithm, okay, which would be unique to distribute across the AMPs. Okay, that is where they have come up with the concept of no primary index, okay, where the hash algorithm would generate the random hash values for each and every incoming record, not based on the primary index values or any column values. It would randomly generate a number, and as per the hash values of that number, it would store the records in AMPs evenly. So it is a random number, so it should be unique, and the distribution of the no primary index table is almost even across all the available amps. Okay, the usage of no primary index table I will explain you in the utilities part, because there is a reason why they have created a no primary index, okay, which would be compatible with the fast load utility. So I will tell you in the utilities part. Yes, is there any limit on number of columns we can use for UPA? Yes, the number of columns should be up to 64 only for creation of the composite primary index. Okay, there should be only one primary index for a table, but within the primary index we can go up to 64 columns as a composite. Okay, all these things will be coming in the slides. Okay, so are there any other questions? Did I answer all the questions, or if you can ping me the question repeatedly again, I will answer that. Okay, so let us go ahead and see the next slide. So these slides are examples of the row distributions. Okay, so here we have a table, order table, order number, customer number, order date, and order status are the columns. Okay, and order number is the primary key here, so it is unique here. So I may choose a unique primary index on the order number. So if I choose an order number as the unique primary index, the data distribution is like this. It is almost even, right? Because this is a unique primary index, so hash values generated for all these primary index values will be unique, and in a round robin fashion all the amps are having data evenly. Okay, and let's suppose I have identified the customer number is being used more in the retrieval queries of this order table. So I started my customer number as a non-unique primary index. So I have dropped my table and I have recreated the table with the customer number as non-unique primary index. So how many unique values are there in the customer number? 1, 2, and 3. Okay, and how many amps we have here? 4 amps. So when this non-unique primary index values are hashed by the hash algorithm, all ones will generate a same row hash value and will be stored in same amp. So all ones are stored in amp 1, and all twos will generate the same row hash value and determine the same amp to be stored. So all twos are stored in the same amp, and all threes would generate the same row hash value. So all threes would be stored in an amp. So 1 amp is empty for this data table. Okay, so we have to determine how many number of unique values are there. If the degree of duplication is very much high, we cannot go for such a column as a primary index. Otherwise 1 amp would be empty almost. Okay, so we mean in this example we have 4 amps, but in our system there may be 300 amps or 3000 amps based on the configuration. So we have to determine, okay, how many unique values are there. If the unique values are more, then we may choose that column as a primary index. If the unique values are very much less, and if you create a non-unique primary index, the data distribution cannot be made evenly. It is called as skewed data. The data is skewed across the available amps. Okay, so there is one more example which can clearly tells you what is this skew. Well, if let's suppose if I take order status as my non-unique primary index, okay, how many unique values are there? Open or closed order status. Okay, if I choose this order status as my non-unique primary index, then all O's would be stored in 1 amp, all C's would be stored in 1 amp, rest all amps, rest other 2 amps are empty. Okay, if there is any query executed on this table, this amp would work more and these 2 amps won't have any work to do. Okay, so the workload cannot be distributed evenly if the data is skewed across the amps. Okay, so we have to carefully choose the primary index, otherwise we will end up with performance penalties. Okay, so we have to choose the data distribution as the first factor, and we have to consider how frequently this column is being used in the where clause in the reports or in the ETL queries. Okay, both the cases we have to consider and we have to keep. And in real time, it is not possible to choose a single column for both the data distribution purpose and the data retrieval purpose, right? So we may not be using all the columns of the primary index in the where clause, or we may not use always the primary index in my retrieval queries. I may be using some other columns. Okay, but if the degree of uniqueness is not reasonable for those tables, then I would prefer which column gives me the unique distribution, and the other columns I have other techniques to be applied called secondary indexes. We'll see that topic later. Okay, but we have to consider these two factors. First one is the unique distribution and the second one is the data usage. Okay, how we are going to use this data. Okay, so ideally if there is a column which has both the factor satisfied, that is unique distribution also and the data retrieval also, that is the best candidate to be chosen as the primary index. But if there is no such a column which can give us both the purposes, that unique distribution and the usage of the data, then we will go for other techniques which we will be seeing soon. Okay. And this is a snapshot of the differences between a primary key and primary index. Okay. Primary key is a relational modeling concept where in the logical model we will mention the primary keys. Okay. And in primary index, it is a Teradata database mechanism used in a physical database design. Okay. It is most probably for physical database designs, but in Teradata these primary keys would exist in the logical data model, but generally we don't physically implement these primary keys on the tables because it is a data warehousing. Okay, we generally don't implement the primary keys and foreign keys. Okay, why we don't implement? Okay, because in data warehouse, okay, we have to load some millions of data on daily basis, right? If I insert millions of data into the table, and if I have all these primary keys and foreign keys, so for each and every row it has to search all these foreign key references, and then only it has to decide whether this row has to be inserted or thrown as an exception. Okay, if I do all these exceptions or exception handling or validations during each row insertion, it would take a lot of time to insert the data of million rows, right? So generally in the data warehouse we don't implement the primary key and foreign key relations. What we do, we call it as a soft referential integrity. That's, we will implement the soft referential integrity. That means we don't implement the primary key and foreign key physically on the tables, but after loading the data we will do a join and find out which all are the exception records, and then we'll report these exception records to the user to take a decision on whether to delete or to be keep the data in the tables. Okay, that is called as soft referential integrity. Okay, this is called as an hard referential integrity if we implement primary key and foreign key on the table definitions. Okay, generally in the data warehouse we don't do that. Okay, here a question: is there any difference between primary index and unique primary index and unique index? No. Primary index, when I say primary index, it could be a non-unique primary index also. When I say unique primary index, it is always unique primary index, and unique index can be a unique secondary index also. Okay. Round robin means one first and second one is second, third one is third, and again 1, 2, 3, and again 1, 2, 3. So that fashion is called as a round robin fashion. It is a logical concept. The soft referential integrity is a logical concept. It is not to implement. I mean, implementation is not physically defining the keys at the time of table creations, but we do in our ETL process. Okay, the joins and making all these exception records inserted into a separate error table and reporting that error table to the users. All such process, the concept is called as a soft referential integrity. Okay, so when I say primary index, it could be unique or non-unique here, but if I mention unique primary index, it is unique. If I don't mention unique here, that it could be a non-unique primary index. Okay, and used for row distributions. Okay, the primary key is uniquely identify each and every row, but in primary index it is used most probably for the data distributions. Okay, and it establishes relationship between tables with the help of foreign key, right? But in primary index it is used for rows access. Okay, how we will retrieve the rows from the table, that is defined by the primary index or a secondary index, whatever it is, an index. Whenever we have an index, the concept of having index is how efficiently we can access the data. But in keys, how efficiently we will manage the relationship between the tables. So that is the major difference between a key and index. In key, it is to establish integrity across different tables, and the index is how efficiently we can retrieve the data back from the table. And values should not be changed in a primary key, right? And values may be changed in the primary index. Okay, you can apply deletes and inserts and updates also. You can update a primary index value. It cannot be a null. Primary key cannot be a null anytime, but primary index can be null. Primary key must be unique, but primary index, it could be unique primary index or it could be non-unique primary index. So in non-unique we may have duplicates, and in unique primary index we don't have duplicate values. Okay. And no limit on number of columns in the primary key when you are creating a composite primary key. But here in the primary index we have a limit on the number of columns which has to be created as a composite, that is 64. Okay, we can go up to 64 columns and create a composite primary index. Okay, these are the major differences between primary key and primary index. Primary key generally is a logical concept in warehousing projects, and primary index is the physical database design considerations. Okay, it is used for the row distribution and the row access. It can be null, it can be unique or non-unique, and it should have up to 64 columns only as a composite. Okay. So any other questions, anyone up to here? The data distribution, the primary index creation, what are the types of primary index, and what happens if I choose a primary index while insertion of the data. Okay, how the data is distributed evenly, in which cases, and in which cases the data cannot be distributed evenly across the amps. Okay, what are the penalties if I cannot distribute my data evenly? What are the two considerations we have to keep when we are choosing a primary index for a table? Everything is clear?
Hey Manohar, the question is, the difference is very much clear. But my question is, we will be having the primary key and foreign keys whenever we implement warehouse using Teradata, right?
Actually, I mean, okay.
Yes.
Have you seen the primary key implemented in data warehousing project on Teradata?
No, if you don't have it, then how you are going to maintain the Snowflake and star schemas?
So they will be there in the logical data model. That means on the Erwin or Visio, with whatever tool you use to create the model, they will exist in the logical data model. But when you are converting that logical model as a physical, then you won't implement these primary keys and foreign keys, physical design, in physical design. Okay.
Then how can we connect multiple tables?
The connectivity would happen at the report side, right? So once we populate all our model tables, the star schema, snowflake schema, the usage will be happening at the report side, maybe Cognos or Buvos. So they have to implement the referential integrities as per the logical model which is defined. Okay, so to
No, but as part of ETL side, when we also load the databases or the tables, we also sometimes need to take care about the referential integrity.
yes, for
We need
that
to check.
purpose, yeah, for
Mhm,
that purpose we maintain the soft referential integrity which I explained. Okay, we maintain the ETL code in such a way we after loading both the tables. Let's suppose I have employee table and DEPT table. Okay, so
mhm,
the DEPT has 10, 20, 30 and 40 as my department numbers, and when I am having a department number 60 is inserted in my employee table for a single employee, so it should not be inserted ideally, right? Because the
correct,
master table doesn't have the 60 department number, but I am assigning a 60 department for an employee. Ideally it should not be inserted. But
correct.
in Teradata warehouse, we do not do this check for each and every record. We insert all the records which are coming from source into the employee table, and after loading of department table and employee table, we will join these two tables based on the left outer join on the department table, and we will get all the records which are exceptions. Okay, so these exception records are inserted in a separate work table, and these records are exported again to a report and will be given to the user to validate if they are valid users or valid employees inserted today, or do you want us to delete from the tables. So based on their suggestion we may delete the rows. So that is the integrity we maintain, called as a soft referential integrity.
Okay, got your point.
Okay. Yeah.
Thank you.
And there are some other questions. Let me see. Is it good choice to choose a column which has null as a PI? How is the distribution handled in case of the PI nulls? Okay, so if there are more number of nulls in the primary index columns, all those null values will be inserted in the same AM. Okay, so that null also to be considered to see how the duplication is. If there are some certain number of nulls only in the table like 10 or 20, it may be okay out of million records. But if almost half of the records are null, then again it would skew. All the nulls would be inserted in the same AM. So it is not a good choice of choosing it as a primary index. And can we measure the skew in case of the uneven data distribution like in your example? In one of the slides, one AM did not had any data for the table. Yes, we can measure the skewness because it is the important factor. So let me mute you all. I'm getting some noise. Okay, it's better now. Okay, so we have the data dictionary views where we can identify this skew, and in the database administrator we have a button where by clicking on the button, by selecting the required database, it will show you the skew factor. Okay, the skew factor should always be 0 ideally, but if it is around 5 to 7% it is fine, but if it is more than 7%, the skew factor is more than 7%, then it is a performance glitch. So where we need to analyze why this skewness is coming in, and is there any way that we can avoid that problem. So we generally do that analysis to identify what is the skewness and the resolutions. How does the join works? The PI is having null values. So it is all depend on the data distribution. So if you are having two tables and you have chosen two non-unique primary indexes where both are having null values, so it will do the corresponding redistributions and join the data. Okay, and it is better, we should not involve these null values in the primary index. So it is best practice where we have to keep where the index is not null. That is the best way of getting the records. Otherwise the nulls will be skewing the query execution itself. Okay, so generally we should not have null values, and if we have null values we may have a where condition where this primary index is not null, so that only the values which are having proper values in the primary index can come in the join result set. Yes, UPI can have only one null value. It cannot be duplicated. Okay, so by the time you install the software and you can practice those, you may create different types of indexes and can insert values and see how the data distribution is happening in the table. Everything you can do. And retrieval also. Okay, we have an explain utility through which you can see the optimizer plan to execute the query. So there also you can see how many amps it is going to access. Is it a single amp operation or 2 amp operation or a multi amp operation? Everything we can see practically, okay, when we start our practical sessions. Okay, so please be fill up all the formalities so that you will get the first phase of documents and the installation guide also. So by the time we start the practical session, I expect you all to install your software so that you can practice and gain more knowledge. Okay. So if you don't have any further questions, okay, what is hash map? Hash map, yes, it will be coming tomorrow. You see, you asked this question, so this is the tomorrow's topic. What we are going to see, the hash primary index mechanism. So in this hash mechanism, we are going to know so many of the terminology of Teradata hashing and hash map, hash bucket numbers, everything. Okay, so tomorrow is the topic to explain you what is the hash map. Okay, so tomorrow we will be seeing the actual primary index mechanism, and then which is the base for the second index and partition primary index. So this is important topic for tomorrow. Please don't miss, and you may have to complete your enrollments by tomorrow. So tomorrow is the last session which we are providing you. So maybe from the next day onwards, you will receive a different link so that you can join the sessions. Okay, Kapil Devang from our team will manage all the things. So you can post emails to me or Kapil Devang for any further questions and complete your enrollments so that we can have the continuation in a different link probably. Thank you very much everyone. We will meet tomorrow at the same time to continue the primary index mechanism.